Chris here from High Island DIY, and just showing you a little update on the smaller chainsaw mill I'm building. I've got 5 nuts across the top of my jig on a piece of all thread, and I've got it squared up with the edge so it runs at a 90. And I'm just going to weld the nuts onto this beam on the top of the jig, and that should hold it in place. Alright, so you can see I've got the nuts welded on top. Just one bead on each nut on both sides. Alright, so that takes care of mounting the all thread onto the jig. And of course you're going to want to line up all the nuts and clamp them down like you've seen, and then you need to make sure that this still turns, the all thread still turns in there. It's going to allow you to guide your saw down into the log. You can slide it up to the log and guide it down as you bring it back. You want whatever your saw is clamped to be able to rotate. Alright, so the next step is going to be attaching a clamp of some sort to your all thread to hold your bar. And some of the things you need to keep in mind is how far you want your clamp from your jig. Now, I haven't measured this and set it up or anything yet. I'm just setting it up to show you guys. And another thing is when you clamp your chainsaw bar into here, your teeth are going to come awfully close to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a small piece of this flat stock off, and I'm going to weld it right on this side of the clamp, which is going to give me a 1/4 inch of space where my chain won't come in contact with this inside point. Of course, this side you don't have to worry about. All this is going to be open. This is just going to clamp. This side is just going to clamp in the center of your bar. But with this clamped in the center of your bar, it doesn't give you much clearance. There's a little bit, but not enough to satisfy me. So I'm going to cut a piece of this off and weld it onto here just to give me a little extra clearance. So I've got my piece of flat stock clamped up here. Just want to show you. I've got 2 1-inch marks here. The outside one here, this mark here. I'm not sure if I want just 1 thick or 2 thick of this bar stock or flat stock to give me space on the end of that clamp. I'm thinking 2 just to be safe. So I got it clamped up here. I'm going to cut these 2 pieces off. Got my Sawzall here with a bimetal blade. Then you can pick these up at any hardware store or Menards, any big box store like that. You definitely want the bimetal blade. Don't try cutting with a wood blade or anything like that. It'll wreck your blade right away. So make sure you got a bimetal blade. Clamp everything tight because the Sawzall does vibrate a lot. So make sure you got it clamped up tight, and we'll cut that off. Alright, so there's one off. Not the straightest cut, but we're going to be welding it up anyways. So now to cut the second piece off. Alright, so we got the 2 pieces of spacer flat stock cut. What I'm going to do is first I'm going to take this coating off. You can see this isn't clean steel. There's an anti-corrosive or anti-rust coating on this. So I'm going to take a file and just file the coating off of the end here where I want to weld. Then I'm just going to stack these 2 up on the end. I figured 2 give me a little more clearance. Better safe than sorry. Don't want to wreck a $35 chain. So I'm just going to clamp these 2 up on the end, weld it all the way around, and then that's going to give me plenty of clearance for my chain where I'm not going to worry about hitting the side of the chain on here or anything like that. So we'll get this welded up and come back. Okay, so I got those 2 pieces of flat stock welded on the end of the clamp here. Took a grinder, clean up the welds, square up the edges. So then you can see that's going to give me, like a 1/2 inch of space between where my bar is going to be running right here and the edge of the chain, because I don't want to catch the edge of the clamp with my chain. So next step is going to be to be welding onto the all thread. Okay, so here's our jig with the all thread. Now our next step, I'm going to be cutting some of this off. I don't need all that extra on there, but we're going to be welding this on here like that, just parallel with the lip on the edge of the clamp. I'm going to take the grinder and get all the coating off of this so I can get a nice clean weld. And I'll show it to you before I weld it up so you can see the cleaned up metal. Alright, so I've got the coating all taken off, you can see there. So that's shinier than the part that's coated. So the next thing is going to be to determine how far you want your clamp to be from the jig. So I was thinking about 6 inches. One reason is because this being all thread and these nuts welded on there, I'll be able to turn the clamp, spin it in or out, and move it, 2 or 3 inches depending on how far I weld out the clamp. So I was figuring on putting it about 6 inches, 6 inches from the jig to this spot on the clamp right here. So you figure about 6 inches from the edge of the jig, and then that'll give me, the top of the clamp is about 4 inches, so I'll be able to shrink that all the way down to the edge. So I'll basically have 4 inches of adjustment in the jig. So that way if the log is bigger and I need to nail the 2x4 in the center of the log, if it's a smaller one, I'll be able to move it in and still be able to get a nice clean edge. Or if it's a bigger one and the levelest spot is closer to the middle, I'll be able to adjust the clamp farther out and make that cut as well. So now I just got to clamp my C-clamp onto the all thread, and then I'm going to weld this. And one thing, when you're welding all thread, since it's scored for the threads, that's going to melt really fast. So you need to make sure you get a nice hot solid weld where it doesn't just melt the threads, it actually gets some of the core of the threaded rod to melt onto whatever you're welding into. Okay, so I've got the clamp all welded on here, and you can see a nice thick bead. It's not the prettiest weld, but part of the reason for doing small projects like this is to get better with welding skills and metalworking. If you ever have to build something big or spend a lot of money on materials, you're going to want to have a nice finished product. And when you do small projects like this out of scrap, you can really get proficient in your skills, so that way you'll be happier with your finished project when it's a bigger thing. So the finished jig here rides on a 2x4 on top of your log, slides back and forth. With the all thread, you'll be able to spin this, and you'll be able to move the clamp and the saw closer or farther away from your jig, so you can get thicker slabs or thinner slabs off the side. Always using as much wood as possible. With the clamp like this, there's only one point of contact with the bar. I'm not sure how good that's going to work, but I'll bring you guys along for the adventure when we start milling with this and see how well this stays, if it stays tight on the bar or not. What I'm thinking about doing is getting rid of this cap on the end and just grinding this flat and then welding another piece of flat bar stock over here just to give it a little more stability if I have any problems with it coming loose. So I guess this one is pretty much done. Hope you guys enjoyed the video and maybe learned a little bit. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next video.